President Biden isn't merely demanding that all military service members get vaccinated for COVID or resign. He's insisting that those who decline end up getting dishonorably discharged. He also refuses to recognize an exemption for those who were previously infected, despite a growing number of studies showing that natural immunity is superior to vaccination. The dishonorable discharge aspect of this story hasn't seen a lot of coverage in the news, but Republicans and even some Democrats in Congress are fighting Biden on this, and they should. Unfortunately, with Democrats in charge, it's doubtful they'll be able to stop him. And just to be clear, the difference between an honorable and a dishonorable discharge is massive. As Kansas Senator Roger Marshall put it, a dishonorable discharge means you're never going to be able to get a job again. You're going to lose your Second Amendment rights. They're going to take away your VA health care benefits and your education benefits. Oklahoma Senator James Lankford added that it means that you're going to be treated worse than a convicted felon. All of this over not complying with a vaccine mandate. We're talking about United States military troops who have made incredible sacrifices for their country and put their lives at risk to defend us all, many of them for a number of years, now being condemned to that kind of treatment and losing all the benefits that they have earned simply because they refuse a vaccine that they either don't trust or maybe they don't believe they need. Now, even if you think that's a legitimate reason to discharge someone from the military, why would anyone be so petty as to condemn people whom we should be treating as heroes to so much hardship by making their discharge dishonorable instead of just a simple honorable discharge? This comes from a man who not only ran as a moderate, promising to bring unifying return to decency, but who also never served a single day in the military himself. It's a nasty, groundless, vindictive, and unpatriotic policy, and President Biden ought to be ashamed of himself for even thinking of imposing this. Furthermore, I fear that this policy could hurt the future of our military. If the United States government is willing to impose such an invasive mandate on its volunteer fighting forces under threat of a debilitating, dishonorable discharge for noncompliance, we may see far fewer recruits in the future for fear that the government is going to be imposing more overreaching rules on them. Because of President Biden's strict vaccine mandate, Americans are giving up their jobs. Military heroes are facing dishonorable discharges. Cities are losing desperately needed first responders. Already strained hospitals and businesses are facing even worse staff shortages. Unions are filing lawsuits. The supply chain is breaking down. And it's rumored that resistance by airline pilots is largely responsible for hundreds of flights being canceled. All of that chaos is caused by the president's wrong-headed and authoritarian actions that he even once swore he'd never take. But for all the suffering and turmoil that Joe Biden is causing with his dictatorial vaccine mandate policy, one question remains. Where exactly is that policy for the private sector? Truth is, it doesn't really exist, at least not in any official form. Now, he said he was going to order OSHA to make such a policy, but he's yet to sign an executive order, so OSHA has yet to make the rule. And all these businesses are just enforcing what they anticipate OSHA might tell them to do. The legality of this all gets, well, really tricky. The White House is treating this as an emergency temporary standard, or ETS in government speak. But those can be challenged in court, and only one of the 10 ETSs that have been issued in the past 50 years has been upheld by the courts. In short, we've got a complicated system in place to defend Americans' rights, and the White House is doing an end run around it. Employers are just going along with it. We'll see how long they continue to go along if the resistance to it among a large number of their employees continues to hold, and if entire states refuse to play ball. Whether you favor vaccine mandates or not, you ought to hope that this effort to exert such extreme control over American citizens and private businesses without constitutional authority should fail. And the reason is because if it succeeds, imagine what other of your freedoms we're soon going to lose based on nothing more than a threatening press release. But there may be a worse politician than even President Biden. And I'm becoming quite convinced that the real reason Kamala Harris was picked for VP was to make Joe Biden look competent in comparison and to dampen the inevitable calls for him to resign. Friday, while high-level talks on border security were being held with Mexico, our border czar was doing a photo op in a New Jersey daycare. Now, she's popped up in a YouTube series called Get Curious with Vice President Harris, in which she talks about NASA to some eager kids.
Kamala Harris is the Vice President of the United States and the head of the Space Council.
My mom was a scientist, so I just love the idea of exploring the unknown. Are you guys ready to go there?
Yes.
The show was already getting mocked for its general quality. Then it backfired even more after it was revealed that the kids in that video, they weren't just some school kids, they were professional actors, seemingly picked in auditions for their ability to pretend to be interested in what Kamala Harris was saying. And to put the cherry on top, the production company that made it is called Sinking Ship Productions. You can't make this stuff up. The American people are seeing this circus act for what it is, despite how hard the media have tried to hide it. And the polls are beginning to reflect that. And with the recognition of Joe Biden's toxicity to Democrat candidates, fewer and fewer of them want to associate themselves with the current administration, understandably so. And it may be that Joe Biden's agenda is sunk after less than a year in office. Now, I hope you'll subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, and leave a like and a comment while you're at it. And also, be sure to join me this Friday for the live stream. We have a Q&A session, and we'd love for you to be part of it. If you want more of my views, analysis, and commentary, real simple. You can sign up at MikeHuckabee.com and get my free newsletter. And I promise, it really is free. It's advertiser supported, so you can read it twice a day. Won't cost you a thing. That's it for this edition of The Breakdown. I'm Mike Huckabee.